Dear friends, I've been a rabbi since June of 1995. Tonight marks my 25th year in the rabbinate and my 18th here at Am Shalom. That is really hard to believe. Way back in rabbinic school, someone once taught that rabbis really only have one sermon, an essential message at the heart of everything they teach and preach, their core conviction, and they just find ways to give the same sermon over and over again. If that's true, for me, it is that this journey of life, we must bring people to experiences that push their boundaries of their thinking in order for growth to take place. And if, at those frontiers, we can give of ourselves fully and completely, maybe even beyond what is comfortable or seemingly possible, we become part of a sacred change, a change in the world. And in doing so, we ourselves are changed. For me, that's what my rabbinate, that's what my life is all about. I've been privileged to stand with so many of you along the arcs and edges of these experiences. The struggles and the strivings, the joys and the sorrows, the countless moments measuring, resisting, challenging, and often pushing through boundaries. Even 25 years in, you affirm for me every day the power of this sacred calling. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you. So in year 25, what can I possibly add to this wonderful conversation of conviction? How to mark the blessing of purpose, the endurance of human spirit, and the power of community that I have seen as a rabbi for a quarter of a century. Admittedly, my own adventures have brought plenty to bear on our exchanges. They have led me to throw out baseballs, become an Uber driver, spit into a test tube, and to jump out of a perfectly good airplane. It all certainly made me wonder, where would life's challenges lead me in my 25th year in Chicago and beyond? Then, as life often does, the adventure and opportunity presented itself. One day, while casually speaking to our son Ben, he relayed the fact that he had lost his fantasy football pool. And as a result, the loser had to run a marathon. And I did what dads usually do in the spirit of camaraderie with their son. I said, hey, maybe I'll do it too. I'll run the Chicago Marathon. On the other end of the phone, Ben just laughed. 20 minutes later, he called Julie. Dad wasn't serious, was he? So then I started to investigate. Marathon comes from the legend of Phidippides, who was sent from the battlefield of Marathon to Athens 2,500 years ago to announce that the Persians had been defeated. He ran the entire distance without stopping and burst into the assembly proclaiming, "We won," before collapsing and dying. When the modern Olympics began in 1896, the initiators and organizers were looking for a great popularizing event recalling the ancient glory of Greece. Might I point out, though, that the word for race in Greek is agon, from which we get the English word agony. Not a coincidence. And of course, as a rabbi, I'm always seeking a Jewish angle. So what's Jewish about the marathon? So I continue to explore. Perhaps the real reason that a marathon is 26 miles long is because the numerical value of God's divine name Adonai in Gematria, Yud He Vav He, 10 plus 5 plus 6 plus 5 totals 26. Doesn't it stand to reason then that runners who participate in the marathon, coming together from across the globe to demonstrate human spirit and strength, they bring God's divine presence to dwell among us? So now that I found the Jewish angle, this is absolutely perfect. I sign up, but the registration is closed. You can only now run with a charity. So I looked through the 25 charities. I love Gilda's club, helping those who struggle with cancer. Gilda used to say, "It's always something." This is an organization that connects me to my mom, and to Marcia, and to Kelly, and to Zach, and to Sammy, and to Sherry, and to Bob, and to so many others. So I joined Team Gilda. I never thought I would run a marathon, but as the opportunity arose, I took on the challenge, understanding that I would need to push myself well beyond my comfort zone. Time to stand at the boundary and look over the edge. My commitment to meet my goals, along with the external motivators of raising money for a worthwhile organization like Gilda's Club, was just the motivation that I needed. And I was absolutely blown away to learn that 11,000 out of the 45,000 runners are charity runners. And last year they raised $22.7 million through the 2018 Chicago Marathon Charity Program. So now I'm doing a mitzvah to boot. This is absolutely perfect. I can sink my teeth into this. Now I have to do it. But there's one problem. It's kind of a big problem. You see, I hate running. I don't run. When I was a kid, I hated it. I played goalie in soccer so that I didn't have to run. The presidential physical fitness test was my least favorite day in elementary school. The only running I've ever done recently was to the dessert table at a wedding. This is a big problem. Jimmy Goodman is a marathon runner. David Rosenstein is a marathon runner. I am not a marathon runner. And there it is, the all too recognizable human dilemma. How do you go from wanting it and willing it down the long, long road to achieving it? It's called dream big. Buckle up for a good bit of hard work. Suck it up. So I do what all people do to ready my spirit. I buy new shoes. Actually, I buy 4 different pairs of shoes. I buy a new watch. I download all of the apps that I can to put on my watch to help me run. I buy compression socks. I buy every bit of swag I can possibly buy. I buy the best headphones. I'm all geared up. I start to train. I walk my first mile, and wait, I am in pain. I go to my doctor 3 times over the next 2 months. My lower back, my neck, my kidney. Everything's hurting. And all those parts are connected. This is a body that isn't built for running. About 2 weeks before the marathon, I hit a wall. I go to the place most of us go when a task seems undoable. Outright denial. Who needs to run a marathon? My life is a marathon. I've been doing this work for 25 years. In May, my alma mater, the Hebrew Union College, will award me an honorary Doctor of Divinity, or as it has come to be known as the DD. Didn't die. Aren't they marking the marathon that I've been living every day of my life for 25 years? Here's how I figure it. 60 bar mitzvahs a year, weddings, funerals, hospital visits, meetings, phone calls, high holidays, dedications. That makes 26.2 miles look easy. Just this month, guys. Slichot, Rosh HaShanah, family services, Shabbat Shuvah, plaque dedications, Kol Nidre, break the fast, Tashlip, Sukkot, Simchas Torah, Yizkor. That's a marathon. If I can do that, I can do anything. Ben calls and says that he ran the San Francisco half marathon. It was really hard. I shake off denial. I can do this. I've already walked 4 miles 3 times. I can do this. So it's the morning of October 7th, 6:45 in the morning, a slight drizzle in the air, and I start out in Grant Park with 45,000 other runners. And I'm pretty sure every single one of them is in way better shape than I am. What have I gotten myself into? Ben's there. He's trained, he's ready, he's flown in. Julie, who is the runner of the family, has decided that she would do the half marathon. She's ready. Am I? I've been carbo loading for 2 straight weeks. We all start out together. And I am feeling great trying to keep my pace. And by 8:06 a.m., I'm tired and I'm winded as our wave finally gets to the starting line. But then, I'm off. I'm gonna cut to the chase. I spent 7 hours and 2 minutes on the streets of Chicago that day. 422 minutes. In the same amount of time, I could have watched 3 full-length movies, 2 complete football games. I could have attended the world's longest opera and still would have had time for a leisurely dinner after. I could have flown to San Francisco and most of the way back. I could have listened to 210 episodes of my 2 minutes of Torah. That's 4 for each parsha. I could have listened to Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run on a continuous loop 93 times. British runner Mo Farah won the race in a time of 2 hours, 5 minutes, and 11 seconds. He could have hopped on the Concorde at O'Hare and made it back to London before I got back to Grant Park. I did see most of the 45,000 runners that day because they passed me. Not everyone on Marathon Sunday gets to meet the people who sweep the streets or break down the concession stands. This is all true. Or the driver of the official pace car announcing, anyone behind this car, your time will not count. Even he passed me. My phone ran out of juice, even with an extra battery. My earphones were dead by mile 15. But seriously, very few events bring people together in a way that the marathon does. It really is one of those moments where everyone from across our society and even the world is represented. A classic dichotomy presented itself. Each of us is very much alone in our grueling task, and yet no one is alone at all at any point along the road. The runner's battle was with themselves, and yet success came not just from crossing the finish line, but from completing the course amidst the inspiring sea of people. Runners from more than 80 different countries, people of all ages and genders and backgrounds. It was inclusion at its best. I was struck that the marathon was able to do what we often so struggle to do as communities. Total strangers coming out to open windows into the culture, the food, and the flavor of 20 different neighborhoods, from Pilsen to Chinatown, from Boys Town to the Gold Coast. People from every neighborhood ran through streets of different neighborhoods. Our city of Chicago shined. I couldn't stop thinking about the 8 or 10 or 15 names of people that I read each week killed on the streets of Chicago. For on this day, on these streets, everyone got along. It really was Chicago at its hoped-for best, and it made me so proud. Just one day, a magical day, perfection for all of us. What Judaism imagines as the Olam Haba, the world to come. A simplification, I realize, as I plod along. It really was one of those moments that you could believe in an inclusive society represented by goodwill, in a city that opened itself up. Crazy maybe, but it honestly created a sense for those 45,000 of us that maybe us against them had it wrong. And we could all triumph together rather than at the expense of any other. By mile 15, my observations had moved from societal dreaming to the dire dialogue going on between my slowly failing body and my mind. And it was there that I understood what perhaps all 45,000 runners did, which is that not all barriers are equal. There are true barriers put before us that block what we can achieve. And then there are those barriers that we ourselves erect. The trick is you have to push your body to ever-increasing heights, to begin to lose your sense of what you can't do, and then what you can. Anything becomes possible. You begin to convince yourself in the midst of personal chaos, I'm not simply who I think I am today, but rather I am who I could be, who I want to be tomorrow. Whether that tomorrow is in 6 hours or 6 months or 6 years. On the streets that day, I became humble all over again at each individual's capacity, every single runner on that course, to recreate the physical, the spiritual, and the emotional image of what one can do out of the dogged perception that says one can't. We place limitations on ourselves when, in fact, we have the potential to achieve much greater things than we initially assume. Of all the great things about running a marathon, it is that those moments of fatigue, there is always someone to offer support and encouragement every step along the way. There are supporters out there with signs and cowbells and their own voices urging you on. It was going on the entire way, but it really swept over me at around mile 20 when I really needed it. Only through the veil of unrelenting fatigue can one truly come to understand the power of this simple offer of support and encouragement. It comes in every form imaginable. The stations with endless hands, all you see are the hands giving out water and Gatorade. A spare Kleenex from a child on the corner that helps you through a moment. A piece of candy from a total stranger. Jams and music on every style of speaker, in voices on instruments, people in amazing costumes and clothing, and signs. Signs everywhere. I was lifted up by the outstanding signs that lined the course. A few that I remember. You don't know me, but I admire you. Free puppies at the finish line. Run like a millennial runs from commitment. You are going the wrong way. I trained for a month to hold this sign. You run better than the Illinois government. May the course be with you. Worst parade ever. And another one that I really love, keep chafing the dream. As if 25 years as a rabbi hadn't already taught me this, what managed to sink in even deeper that day was that you have no idea what you are capable of doing until you are surrounded by a community of others whose commitment is your commitment, and who simply won't allow you to go it alone. Better together. It's true in running shoes, and it's true for each and every one of us here tonight. Tonight on this Erev Rosh HaShanah, we stand at the starting line, and the path is before us. How we travel, what we see, how fast we go, it's up to each one of us. Being a rabbi, your rabbi, means that I have had the honor to be alongside you for these past 25 years, for these past 18 years, on some of the longest and hardest and most joyous runs of your lives. When love thrives or a marriage ends, when a new life blesses us or a doctor's call devastates, when your children suffer or soar, standing under a chuppah at a wedding, or at a cemetery. What I see you accomplish every single day literally takes my breath away. We all feel that way. We, your clergy, are in awe of what you do and you can do. And we try our best to cheer you on and support you every step along the way. And although we may not know what we will encounter in the year ahead, of this I am sure. We start out together. We keep putting one foot in front of the other for as long as we can. We decide how this year is going to unfold. We choose our path. We keep moving forward. My 2018 Chicago Marathon experience got me this really cool talit, because I took the clothes that I wore that day, I cleaned them, And then I sent them immediately to my talit maker and said, please make me this talit. But it gave me some very valuable insights on the road of life, especially at the start of the new year. Number one, you really can do more than you think you can. In the immortal words of that great theologian, Winnie the Pooh, you are braver than you believe and stronger than you seem and smarter than you think. Don't ever forget that. There are some things you literally have no control over, and we have to learn how to accept that. The key to life is to learn to manage the bumps in the road. Life, as in marathon training, rarely goes the way that you plan. Setbacks and obstacles are part of the process, and they should be looked at as a challenge, not as a barrier. Number three, it is not about the destination. It's about the journey. It's not about the finish line. While on the course, I realized that I needed to enjoy each 15-minute mile. If you spend your life waiting to celebrate till the very end, you're going to miss all the other moments that make up life. And number four, and this could be the most important, I realized that day that our world is truly filled with generous, kind people who really want to see you succeed. We need to root each other on. We need to be the participants, but we also need to be the ones cheering and dancing and dressing up and holding up signs and handing out Kleenex or donating to worthy causes or picking up the paper cups at the end of the day. On Marathon Sunday, everyone, not just the participants, deserve a medal. It's hard to explain what it really felt like to finish my first marathon. Sometimes a finish line appears and you can't remember how you pushed through, nor does it even matter. As I saw Millennium Park, which I never thought I'd see again, I began to tear up. Actually, I cried most of the 26.2 miles. But the last 0.2 were the best. Turning the corner and seeing our son Noah, who came in from Ann Arbor, and he was the only family member with working legs and a working telephone, cheering for me along with a faithful few others who had still had family or friends on the course, because even my tracker went out of service for a while because I was that slow. It brought it all home. And I heard my name announced. I had an enthusiastic volunteer slip a medal over my head just 120 seconds, just 2 minutes before they closed the finish line. I made it. And you know what? I got the same medal that the 45,417 people who finished before me got. The feeling of reaching my goal was worth it all. As Noah helped me hobble to Michigan Avenue to meet up with Julie and Ben, who both did much better than I did, I fell into their arms and I said, and I quote, "This may have been the dumbest idea I have ever had." And we all had a really good laugh, followed by a really good cry. We celebrated with the rest of Gilda's club and the rest of the team, for I may have been the last team member across the finish line, but you can be sure that I was number one in the fundraising department. After 25 years in the rabbinate, I can now say for certain, tonight, and for the rest of this new year, for the rest of this year that is in front of us, I urge you from the bottom of my heart to challenge yourself. Do something that's so far out of your comfort zone that you feel a boundary pushed that will help you grow. Because I'm living proof that anything is possible. By the way, 2 weeks from today, Sunday, October 13th, I signed up with Gilda's Club and I decided that I'm going to do it again. Because for me, and for all of us, this year, more than ever, we need to say together, I will be strong, I will exceed all expectations, I will lead, I will contribute, I will sing, I will be real, I will be me. Hallelujah. We've come to the starting line of another new year. May it be